Another day, another live service video game trend chasing that most people are probably not going to give a flaming poop about. We are of course talking about Marathon by Bungie and PlayStation that is priced at $40. Which reminds me of another game that came out not too long ago priced at the same price point. That, let's just say, didn't do so hot. Called Concord. The truth is, if you're gonna make a game in a market like this, like extraction shooters, hero shooters, battle royale, the chance of people checking out your game is not gonna be that high, especially if you're going to price those games at $40 when there's already free alternatives. Now, while I could just make a YouTube video shitting on Marathon, and it would be super easy to do, and, pretty fun as well, that's actually not what I'm gonna be doing today. Instead, I'm gonna be shitting on their decision to not add proximity chat in an extraction shooter because it might hurt people's feelings, dude. We wouldn't want people saying something offensive in the video game that might hurt somebody's feelings, in a game where you literally kill people. Welcome to modern gaming, man. Everything gotta be isolated as fuck. You want to play Call of Duty? Well, you can't talk to your teammates because they probably got comm banned for saying the word poopy head. You want to talk to your teammates on Valorant? Well, you said a no-no word in voice chat that probably isn't offensive to 99.9% of the population, so no team communication for you. I hate how restrictive modern games are with voice chat because they're worried that someone might say something offensive even though there's mute and block buttons for a reason. And the craziest part about these games is they're either T-rated games or games for 18+ adults. I understand having very restrictive or even no voice chat at all in a game like Mario Kart. It's for kids. But Call of Duty? This game is aimed towards people who are old enough to vote for president of the country, and you're sheltering them so hard that you don't even trust them to use a block or mute button to mute or block something they think is offensive? We're not in preschool anymore, man. If you aren't mature enough to use a mute or block button to mute somebody that is saying something that you don't like, then I don't think you're mature enough to play a game with shooting in it in the first place. Go back to Peppa Pig. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic. I was scrolling Twitter today when I came across a fantastic gaming article where Marathon devs were explaining why they would not have proximity chat. But you know what? I don't want to waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and get straight into this shit. Bungie wants Marathon to be a social extraction experience, but the game doesn't have proximity chat. It has been confirmed that Bungie's Marathon will not have proximity chat, despite the developers wanting the game to be a social extraction experience. That has to be the stupidest sentence I have ever read in my 22 years on this planet. So, you wanted to make a social extraction experience, but you forgot to make the social extraction experience have the ability for players to, wait for it, socialize. Bro, what do I even say to this? Like, do I even have to say anything? They made a social extraction experience where you cannot socialize. At this point, just let me run your studio. I promise I'd do a better job. The news of no proximity chat came via an interview with PC Gamer. Game director Joe Ziegler, I hope I'm saying that correctly, if not, please don't spank me, told PC Gamer that they don't have a solution yet when it comes to the toxicity that proximity chat brings to players. Bro, this just genuinely has to be satire at this point. You don't quote-unquote need a solution because the solution is already there for people who do not want to deal with toxicity. There are mute buttons. There are block buttons. And in most games with proximity chat, you can turn it off if it gets too toxic. Why do the rest of us have to suffer because some people cannot use these basic features that are put into the game for this very reason? So because little Timmy can't handle it, I have to be punished. This is stupid. This genuinely reminds me of a situation that I had happen back in middle school. I remember the class did some super fun activity because, I don't know, the teacher was feeling nice that day, and some bumbling moron in our class decided to just be an asshole. He decided to make a bunch of stupid noises, piss the teacher off, just act like an absolute idiot. And because of this bumbling moron, the teacher said, alright, you're doing a pop quiz today. And I remember I stood up and I said, this is bullshit. Why do I have to suffer because this idiot can't control himself? Same situation here, man. I don't think anyone really has a good solution to that just yet, because we're so dedicated to making sure that we're creating a safe space where we don't have players just flaming each other or doing terrible things to one another. I think we're not ready to invest in prox chat until we have a solution, he said. A safe space. A safe space. What the hell am I hearing right now? We are talking about a video game where you use guns on other players, and you're here talking about a safe space. Once again, if you were talking about Mario Kart, I would agree. Most players who play Mario Kart are very young and they might not know how to use these settings. But we're talking at least about a T-rated game. Even if this were an E-rated game, it's a game with guns, so you know what? I think if you're mature enough to play a game where you use guns on other players, you should be mature enough to know when to use the block and report buttons and mute buttons. If you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you. So it's not a social extraction experience? The comments come following an interview that we published in collaboration with Jake Lucky, where in the same day of interviews, Joe Ziegler told Lucky that they want the game to be more of a social extraction experience. Ziegler explained, the key thing for us was making Marathon a little bit more of a social extraction experience, where there's a lot of value in playing with other people that you know, or people that you want, and you all feel like you can create that adventure together. And we're not trying to fragment you all the time, you know? In the interview, Ziegler gave the example of being able to be respawned instead of just watching your teammates complete the match. Or another example of data cards, where your entire team can cash them out together. I mean, this is really nothing new though. Fortnite has the reboot cards where it basically does the same thing. However, I think a big point is being missed here, and the conflicting comments are a bit of a head scratcher. Proximity chat adds the much needed social aspect to a game. And while I understand Bungie's stance on toxicity, surely players who don't want to engage with proximity chat can just, you know, turn it off? Or better yet, just give players the ability to report others for toxicity. These are not new ideas, and with the right infrastructure, moderation, they are the solution that Bungie is looking for. But you see, here's the problem with those quote-unquote solutions. Most people don't want a solution. They want to be able to cry and be offended so that people feel bad for them. And that's just the reality of our society today. Nobody wants any responsibility to be put onto themselves. They want to throw their hands up into the air and have everyone else come to their defense and do everything for them. At the end of the day, you're never going to stop people from being toxic, no matter what you do. Without proximity chat, Bungie is missing the mark entirely on not only what makes extraction shooters fun and exciting, and to be honest, makes the whole social extraction shooter comment laughable. You know what? I never thought I'd be agreeing so heavily with what a gaming journalist has to say, but here we are. They hit the nail right on the head. I really don't have that much else to say. I think it would be cool if you just allowed people to talk to each other, especially in your quote-unquote social experience. And if you really have to, have some sort of like fucking AI moderation, but don't make it as AIDS as Call of Duty. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike and a mean comment. Also, if you want a true social gaming experience, you can join my Discord and play older games like Borderlands 2 with a group of people. And the rules are pretty lax, to be honest. So, I mean, yeah, that's up to you guys. Alright, I'm out now.